If you enjoy this podcast, then be sure to check out Farm Small, Farm Smart Daily, where you can get your daily dose of farm wisdom. Tune in every day to learn the latest tips, tricks, and stories from the world of farming. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just getting started, our podcast has something for everyone. Join us as we explore topics like farm business, crop planning, soil management, and tools and technology. Start your day off right with Farm Small, Farm Smart Daily, available on all major podcast platforms. Don't miss out. Subscribe today. Where would a crop be in terms of net nitrogen loss? If I planted corn year after year in the same place and I wasn't doing tillage and I had, let's say I had really good soils, would I need to add nitrogen, or could I get that system to function without nitrogen addition if I left all that biomass?
Very good question. It goes back on the temporal time. It's on the first year. So you may have seen in some of my research, by scaling and understanding this spatial variation, has identified that each field, as like a farmer will know, but not all the farmers know that, and can be scaled, that there are parts of the field that they're much better, because they have deeper soil, like deeper volume. And so it becomes back to the virtuous cycle where you have greater biomass, greater roots, greater decompositions, and you do accumulate that. The mineralization, so an organic, fully, let's say, in this way, would be an organic sorts of management. If it's managed correctly, it could compensate you, but you may not have the same level of yields. The yield could have a penalty in the beginning. In the first years, it may not be sufficiently to compensate what you were used to. So we also seen at this long-term study that organic systems, and in our case it was only cover crop and no tillage. It could come close to the yields of the mineralization, just because it isn't just about all nitrogen. They held more water, and the conventional tillage ran out of water much quicker. Okay, so it's really a system. So to answer your question, immediately, no. Long-term, certainly can. But the yields are not obviously the 600 bushels, but they can easily get to the level of average, yields, which will bring the benefits of trade-off analysis of the cost of doing things. Farmers need to understand that, and they do process, for sure. Not necessarily all of them, but profit is also obtained by spending less, investing. So it's not, unfortunately, nitrogen is a cheap and economic sorts of insurance as a seen. It costs significantly lower to put an extra pound compared to, it's basically 50 cents versus $4 a bushel, that you could get from the addition. And that's, again, back onto the trade-offs. Are we serious about, accumulating carbon and using carbon to store and offset the emissions and so on versus the profit? I'm always of the idea that we need to be able to reward farmers for what they do in long-term sustainability, basically, and keep carbon there and using more sustainable management, which is reduce amount of fertilizer. The reduced amount of fertilizer, it's very interesting. Back to the spatial variation, there are parts of the fields shouldn't even be cultivated with the same crop, but they are even cultivated with the same management. So a corn crop that yields 100 bushels either on the edge of the field, on some, poor conditions, that receives 200, pounds per acre on average, depending on, let's say typical. And that's unacceptable because you're really emitting much more. So converting those areas into more perennial and legumes, then you will build the soil and the system to be able to mineralize nitrogen.
Hello, growers. Protect your crops from harmful insects with Modern Growers Insectanet. This top-tier insect netting made by Modern Grower shields your plants from pests and harsh weather. boosting your yields without harmful sprays. InsectaNet's unique design allows 90% of the light to pass through and is easy to use with low tunnel systems like our quick hoops. It's soft, elastic, and durable, perfect for field use to help ensure that your crops thrive. Say goodbye to pest damage and hello to healthier, market-ready produce. Invest in InsectaNet and see the difference it makes. Get InsectaNet at shop.moderngrower.co or using the link below.